Yes.
And he stays on this oncoming lane up until point of impact.
Yeah.
So Baki was driving in a northerly direction, and the truck was coming in the southerly direction.
Yes.
But the truck driving on the
truck was coming this way.
No, the truck was coming down this way.
This way?
Southern, but on the oncoming lane.
Yeah.
And the Baki was going in a northerly direction.
Yes. Yes. Okay. People I take Baki at 20.
So Baki, now, African male, he had a teacher, children.
Everybody in the Baki died.
Correct.
Yeah. Otherwise, What is
About 200. He fitted in. So
he was just here?
and through that graded section and into the culvert.
How are you?
So on this side,
Up until here and there.
you see where that mud patch is.
Yeah.
That's where.
So that's where he stopped.
That's where the whole combination stops. With the truck still, with the bakkie still stuck underneath, and kids
Dead.
trapped underneath those vehicles as well. So this is a stop sign that they took out. So this is a stop sign that
protocol ngubani? Akayazi ukuthi dila ngeprotocol.
Necessarily singatha nje uminister uzodila ne-interview nenkosi kuphela. We're not going to be long, Minister.
Yeah. No. Okay. No, go be interview.
Ready? We're in the hands. Let's Amen. Because this is a media session.
Can I kindly just Good afternoon and welcome to this afternoon's press briefing where Minister Mbalula will be tabling the preliminary crash accident report and announcing the measures that are going to be taken. Minister of Transport, Minister Mbalula, the Chair of the Sunrail Board, Mr. Mhambi, the CEO of the RTMC, Advocate Msibi, the CEO of REF, Mr. Letswalo, the Member of Parliament in our present, Honorable Mieni, the local mayor of Uphongolo local municipality, Councillor Utwala, the local mayor of Mkondo municipality, Councillor Usmelane, the Speaker of Council, Councillor Unqumalo, ngokukhethekile amakhosi asendaweni inkosi inkosi yakwaDlangamandla, inkosi yakwaNtshangase futhi inkosi yakwaSimelane, inkosi yakwamavuso, inkosi yakwagumbi, inkosi yakwabuthelezi, amakhansela endawo as well as our members of the media. I will now hand over to the minister to deliver his statement, and following that we will have the CEO of the RTMC who will deliver the preliminary accident report. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you very much. Our apologies for starting late. We landed 60 kilometers away from here, so we had to drive. We're supposed to be at 12 o'clock, but thank you for your patience. Ndibingelela ndikhahlele amakhosi wonke akhona apha amakhosi wendawo, and bulise nabahlali bonke balapha ePhongola. Ndibulise inkokheli zikamasipala, the leadership of the council, the mayor, the councillors, and everybody else, and the political parties that are here. All political parties, I will not single them out by name. Ngoba kwahle kube kubi. So ndiyanibingelela nonke zinkokheli zemibutho ngokwahlukahlukana ezikhoyo apha. Ndibulise ogxabamba seParliament uTata uMyeni ndivile kuthiwa ukhona apha ngokuzikhathaza kwabo ukuba khona apha nathi namhlanje. I know that the MEC is also was here, the acting and they will be here also. We will all be here again on Saturday for the mass funeral. And I want to thank the media also for walking this mile with us and reporting the news as they are. And then I also want to extend my heartfelt condolences to the families, which will be meeting with them, but we have been working with them in terms of since this accident happened, and also for the agencies of the Department of Transport, RTMC, as well as Sunrail that is here today with the leadership that is here. A tragic road crash took place in September 16, 2022 on this road, where an articulated truck collided with a light delivery vehicle. The LDV was transporting 18 primary school children aged between 5 and 13 and a teacher. All the occupants of the LDV died at the scene of the crash. Where we are, it's where the accident happened. The police and everyone else in traffic have shown us how this tragic accident happened. It started from up there next to the bridge. It is about 200 meters. that truck pulled and crashed with the LDV up until just behind you, this other side. I wish to convey my heartfelt condolences to the families and the loved ones of the deceased. The tragic circumstances under which they are heart-wrenching and could have been avoided. The tears in our eyes and the pain in our hearts must serve as a reminder of our collective responsibility to arrest the scourge on our roads and prevent loss of life that can be avoided. The Road Traffic Management Corporation, RTMC, investigated the crash. The investigation has since been concluded, and today we formally release its conclusions to the public. The report found that the driver of the articulated truck overtook multiple vehicles. Where this action was prohibited by no overtaking lanes in a dangerous and unlawful manner. This driver recklessly overtook vehicles and drove on the oncoming lane for approximately 1.2 kilometers. These vehicles had to swerve out of the way of the approaching truck. The driver never made any attempt to return to his correct lane, but continued driving against oncoming traffic, putting lives of other motorists at risk. The report concludes that driver error is the major contributing factor to the root cause of the road crash. This is as a result of the driver of the articulated truck overtaking multiple vehicles, where this action was prohibited by no overtaking lines, in a dangerous and unlawful manner, placing the lives of other occupants of the oncoming vehicles at risk. The driver's actions of overtaking vehicles for approximately 1.2 kilometers before the area of impact was extremely reckless. The driver of the LDV, the van, was transporting scholars at the back of the LDV, of the van. This is illegal and extremely dangerous for the passengers on the back of a goods vehicle, which again highlights a point about the scholar transport in our country. It's not only here in KZN. To transport human beings like Esif Zinkuku and everything else. This is a matter that, in terms of this accident, highlights the fact that it is not my iPad. Yeah, no, mine is stolen, so.
Minister, it overheated and shut the stadium to see.
But I can't see.
Okay, we'll get Kevin's iPad now. Kevin? Where's Kevin? Can you send it here?
Yeah.
There's an airdrop on. Wait, it's here. Traces, Simon's iPhone, Msibi's iPad. Yeah. Accept. Books.
I think this man, his job must be reviewed. The driver of the van was transporting scholars at the back of the van. Like we said, this is illegal and extremely dangerous for the passengers on the back of a goods vehicle. Like I was saying, that highlights the point about what happens in terms of scholar transport in the Republic of South Africa. Regulation 250 of the National Road Traffic Act of 1996, which came into effect on the 11th May 2017, prohibits transportation of school children or any other person in the goods compartment of a motor vehicle for reward. The contents of this report will be brought to the attention of the Director of Public Prosecutions and the Senior Public Prosecutor for their consideration. The criminal case of culpable homicide is being investigated by the police. As part of our efforts to make our roads safer, we are putting in place a number of measures to reinforce current interventions. We are strengthening our law enforcement interventions under the coordination of the RTMC by implementing the following measures: immediate deployment of the KwaZulu-Natal Road Transport Inspectorate, as well as the local municipality traffic on the identified hazardous locations. Deployment of the National Traffic Police on ad hoc basis to assist the province, informed by the analysis of traffic statistics to identify areas with insufficient traffic policing capacity. Block patrol in the form of compulsory stopping of trucks at certain intervals to ensure speed reduction and considerate driving towards other road users. These interventions, we are pleased, these interventions will be underpinned by an approach that concentrates on vehicle and driver fitness. We are pleased that the province has completed the necessary processes to ensure visibility of traffic police officers around the clock throughout the year. In order to ensure that companies that own trucks that move goods on our roads adhere to strict compliance with the law, we will encourage the MEC in the province to invoke the provisions of Section 50 of the National Road Traffic Act. This provision empowers the MEC to appoint a person to investigate the specific activities of an unidentified operator and direct the person so appointed to make a written recommendation to him or her regarding what measures should be taken in respect of such an operator. The investigator must, among others, gather any evidence regarding the state of fitness of a motor vehicle in respect of which an operator is registered. Direct them for formal roadworthiness process if needs be. Require such operator to produce for examination the records regarding drivers which an operator is required to keep in terms of the law, and direct that an identified driver be retested in terms of Section 25 of the Act if necessary. The investigator is empowered to obtain additional information relating to vehicle and driver fitness, which includes trends in relation to traffic offenses committed by drivers, hours drivers drive a day, and roadworthiness of vehicles. The investigation will then enable the MEC to take In addition, we are considering introducing regulations to strengthen the current rules relating to the operation of trucks on a public road, the construction and equipment of such vehicle, and the condition of which it may be operated. In bolstering our law enforcement activities in the province, all mobile testing centers in the possession of KZN Department of Transport will be deployed with immediate effect on the N2 Uphongolo area and visibility of traffic law enforcement officers will be intensified. Through SANRAL, we have initiated interventions that will provide additional capacity on the road where the incident occurred by widening the existing roadway, bridges and culverts. This will go a long way in improving safety for all road users. The estimated cost of the project is 2.5 billion. SANRAL will be ready with designs by the end of the year. However, we need to work with Ingonyama Trust to acquire more land so we can move speedily with the project. Further interventions will be implemented to reduce unsafe access of the N2 and provide additional gravel service roads. We have identified a number of risks that drive unsafe conditions on this road. These include pedestrian safety, high traveling speeds, heavy truck traffic, limited passing opportunities resulting in driver frustration, unsafe access onto the N2, and abnormal load vehicles. In addressing this risk, SANRAL will focus on a number of interventions that include geometric improvements, additional lay-bys for buses and taxis, service roads to redirect pedestrian and minibus taxi activity, and additional reflective road signage. A road safety audit has been undertaken, which has identified a number of risks that require urgent attention. Engineering solutions that SANRAL will implement include provision of a median barrier which will prevent overtaking onto oncoming traffic, widening the road to 2 lanes per direction, which will reduce platooning of vehicles behind slow track traffic, introducing deceleration and acceleration lanes at intersections. The law enforcement and engineering solutions will be further reinforced by accelerated interventions to realize the targeted movement of 10% of freight currently being transported by road to rail. We are working with Transnet in giving this matter practical expression. A number of innovative solutions are being considered that will expedite migration of cargo from road to rail in a number of corridors. This remains a critical part of our strategy to decisively arrest the carnage on our roads, in fact of making our roads safer by tackling root causes of behavior that take innocent lives. We need to also undertaken, not only because there is an accident, because resources have long been allocated. We need to pay particular attention to driver behavior, because what has brought us to this tragic incident here today is because somebody given a job to drive a truck decided to be reckless for whatever reasons. We don't know whether this person was drunk, because once he got involved in an accident, he jumped off and ran away, and then handed himself the following day or days after to the police. As we speak, he is under arrest. But 20 children have actually passed on. And that is what is tragic about this particular incident. And the South Africans and drivers and motorists on the road, and particularly the responsibility and companies for the actions of their drivers on the road. As you can see, there is no issue about the road. This road doesn't have potholes, is in perfect condition. Somebody decided to overtake on a double barrier line and killed the oncoming and collided with the oncoming vehicle, and which stretched over 200 meters up until here. And these children who were at the back of the vehicle were just being thrown away, just like that. like sardines. And also the safety of the children who are being transported in terms of scholar transport. And as you have quoted the law, what we have seen here, it is unlawful. That LDV light van that was transporting these children at the back of a buggy, it's illegal. And for purposes of transportation in terms of raising money and all of that, it is illegal. It's not permissible. And if we had law enforcement in this road, it would have picked up that vehicle and basically ensured that that scholar transport is prohibited from transporting children at the back of a van. So that is where the law enforcement gap comes in and need to be addressed in terms of the work that we are doing. We are faced with serious challenges in relation to law enforcement in terms of traffic officers because they don't do overtime. They work from 8 to 5. And that is why in our concurrent function, we have agreed with the MECs that we will have police officers and traffic officers on mending the roads 24/7. Now you can see where we don't have law enforcement, what do we have? And this is what it results into. And these are the things that must be corrected. A week before this accident, we buried 10 people also in a crash collision in Limpopo. So we are burying literally every week heavy accidents and so on. And this is what is happening on our roads, and we need to work together to deal with this particular situation. And the government must do its job in terms of implementing road safety measures, including law enforcement, but at the same time, do what it is necessary in terms of policy by moving heavy vehicles off the road to rail. That is our... Trucks have become killer vehicles on our roads, and our policy of moving them from the road to rail in terms of transportation of goods has become urgent and necessary between the Department of Transport and the Department of Public Enterprises. I wish to pause there and allow for questions.
Can you come this side?
Hi, thanks. My name is Kavil Singh. I'm from News 24. Minister, can you just tell us, I mean, you mentioned law enforcement, or maybe the CEO can also answer this question, but in this particular area, on that particular day, what sort of resources with RTI or road traffic enforcement was there in this area? And what sort of resources do we have in that enforcement to put out here? And what sort of shortfalls do we have? And how do we sort of curb that? And then the other issue, I mean, you mentioned the point of rail transportation. You know, the business community here, as well as the civic community that I'm sure a lot of journalists spoke to, are saying the same thing. So what sort of timelines do we have for that? How do we sort of get that transportation working? And my final question that I have to ask, you know, you were quite late today, almost 3 hours late. The families grieving, young people have passed on. I mean, what was your exact reason for being late today? Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Bongani Kema from SAPC. Minister, earlier in the week, we spoke with the resident of this area who says they've been trying many times to get hold of the minister, telling them, the minister, that this road is a disaster waiting to happen, but they have been not receiving response for the minister. Can you tell us why has it taken you so long to come to this community and address them about this issue? Secondly, I think Kavil has covered the question. Maybe how far are you? You say you're working with Transnet on the migration of heavy load to rail. How far are you in that program? Thank you.
Good afternoon, Minister. Letty Mbalula from ENCA. One of the questions that I have is regarding some of the concerns raised by residents. One resident actually wrote to you on social media for 3 years asking for intervention, and you failed to respond to him. He's been very vocal about this stretch of the road being very dangerous. My second question also has to do with some allegations from some of the residents here saying that the reason why you haven't moved back to the rail system is because some of the politicians are actually leaders or have stakes in the trucking industry, and that is why government is failing to move back to the rail system. Can I please have a response for that? And also some accusations also include you only helping selected people such as celebrities who write to you on Twitter. What do you have to say about that? Thank you.
It's Corinda from Newsroom Africa. You mentioned scholar transport, and like you said, it's a huge issue across the country. How is this department, transport, working with education now? And do you have timelines and budgets to actually implement scholar transport? Because it was one of the most serious issues in the country, and millions of people, millions of school children are still walking to school across highways like this. Even today, they are crossing this highway. They don't have transport. What is your department doing to intervene?
Thank you. Let's first start with the question, why is the minister 3 hours late? Some of the issues are beyond the control of the minister. Leaving Johannesburg, you have to rely on the pilots as well as the airways. Anybody who has been in Joburg today, no plane was taking off from where we were until 9 o'clock. We were sitting at the airport with the minister as early as 7 o'clock. So it depends on the pilot. Even if you have made arrangements, you can't force the pilots to begin to drive in such circumstances, because their safety, in terms of the safety of the airways, becomes paramount. And it's to that extent that we had to be leaving everything in the hands of the pilots as well as the airway. You'll imagine if, as the minister sitting from 7 o'clock in an airport with a view that will have taken off by 8 o'clock and be here by 9:30. It never endeavored. We only could be cleared as of 9:30 as well as at 11:30. So those are the issues that play themselves out. Let me then get to the issue of whether the law enforcement, there are any gaps or sufficient to monitor all the roads. In South Africa, you're sitting with 724,000 kilometers of paved roads, and you have only 19,000 law enforcers. By any stretch of imagination, it will then begin to tell you that you don't have the necessary resources to cover each and every stretch of the road. But what do you do within the meager resources that you have? You then do a study, and in terms of the study, you deal with the hazardous locations where you need to deploy with the concomitant resources that you have. And by any imagination, this N2 that is coming through in here, it's not in the hazardous area. So you will visit and monitor this issue in a solitary way. But let's then begin to deal with the major cause. Everybody understands that this corridor, it's a cold haulage from Mpumalanga until Richards Bay. That's what it's happening. And what you then can do as a law enforcement, you can't stop any moving vehicle, but is to direct the vehicles to be on the side. There was a question that the minister has been called since 2019. I think the tweet says 2019, it says 2021, it says 2022, and we know the tweet, and it's good that the Twitter is here too. So if you followed the interventions that when the minister had raised this concern, we were deploying at this point. It's unfortunate that on that day you could not have people in this stretch of the road where the accident will happen. But above all, it is very clear, even from the findings, that there's nothing wrong with the road. There's all and everything wrong with the human conduct. Had the driver not driven on the left-hand side for 1.2 kilometers, we would not have had this accident. So it's a human element. But what are we now doing? And the minister has clearly indicated that the matter, the person has been arrested, but we're not going to end up in there. And the minister has confirmed that in terms of the Section 50, he's advising the MEC to conduct an investigation and to take the necessary steps. What does that mean? It therefore means we're now going to check all the operations of that company together with those with the drivers and see how many infringements does he have in a year. Where was this car tested? Who tested the car? And is it be subjected frequently, so that we can take the operator permit and suspend the operations of the individual, because we are a constitutional country and we need to deal with the issues constitutionally. The issue of the scholar transport, there's policy imperatives. Not every children in South Africa is entitled to the scholar transport. You have to determine the kilometers that are supposed to be driven by that person. Some from province to province, it varies from an 8-kilometer area from your homestead to where the school is, where the subsidized scholar transport will find expression. So it's all done within the imperatives of the policy directives. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you very much for the questions. The minister respond to celebrities. Now, on Twitter, let me tell you, I've got 2.8 million followers. In the country, among politicians, is myself, Julius Malema, and President Ramaphosa, who've got above 1 million supporters on Twitter. Now, when you say I respond to celebrities, I don't know what you mean. The people of South Africa take, for instance, the issue of potholes. They raise the issue of potholes for the longest of time. As we are visited by rains, the roads washed away, we've got potholes. We've got potholes at local areas, in local municipalities, which is the jurisdiction of the municipality, which means the responsibility to close those potholes is the responsibility of the municipality. The potholes are in regional roads. My responsibility is national roads. We have discussed and decided as government, after complaints and what we ourselves have seen, to implement what we call Operation Valazonke, to close the potholes throughout the country, which has now become a national responsibility, which constitutionally shouldn't be. Transport is a concurrent function. It means that provincial government have got powers, local government have got powers, and the national minister direct policy and implementation. And this has come after many of our people have complained about potholes. And Annelem Tota happened to be one of the people. And then I responded by saying that DM me. I didn't say I will attend to potholes. You know, DM, it means talk to me privately. And that was it. I respond to all sorts of complaints, insults, and all of that. I'm the most visible minister on Twitter and accessible. I report everything to you and to the public. And I'm happy that the media carries some of the things that I report about. And nobody is as visible and transparent as me about the programs of the department on my Twitter account. I've never stopped my Twitter account because somebody is swearing at me or anything of that sort. Now, when somebody raises the issue about the road, it's not the only one. There are many roads in the country that are killer roads. There is another one in Gauteng they call Moloto Road. People are dying there. The people have been marching and doing a stay-in at the Union Building. I went to see them. They want a raid, Moloto raid. We are attending to that. It's not only here where people complain about road and law enforcement. What is my response about it? I invited you where I launched a program called 365 days 24/7. Not only on Easter holidays and Christmas that we must see deployment of police. I raised with you when I released the statistics that the problem of South Africa is lack of visibility of traffic police on the road 24/7. I explained to you what is the problem. Resources. We can't keep the police here. If they have to be here 24/7, it means extra resources. I went back to the Council of Ministers. I resolved that issue that there will be deployment. I'm en route to Qatar. People are killed by a useless individual here on the road, driving recklessly. I'm on my way to Qatar. 20 kids die on the road. I don't know that there are no police here. In my expectation, there should have been police here, including that vehicle that brought this accident. Those people should have been apprehended and arrested in this particular road. So I'm not here to defend myself and say, no, this we did. If we did not do anything, I will be the first to say that we did not do anything, and these are the steps that we'll have undertaken. But let's correct the distortion. The accident did not happen because the road had potholes. The person who complained is here. He complained about Uphongolo town, that if the ring road in town is not fixed, it will lead to an accident. The accident did not happen where he complained about. Ask him, is here. In the left-hand side, that is what they say, because the Mcelila Bekon. Yes, yeah, Nan's landlord. A complainer, if that thing is not fixed, this will lead to bigger challenges. SANRAL had long allocated 2.5 billion to upgrade this road. That also goes for other roads in the country. When I live here, there could be an accident elsewhere, and money is allocated. Coffee Bay, I was in the Eastern Cape. I went there because there is a problem. The road is full of potholes. I took that road. It's at the level of the designs, it's actually been fixed. The residents have been calling me and all of that, and then I did not respond. Where? Maybe on Twitter or anywhere. Where didn't I go? If I was not in Qatar, these kids died. The following day I would have been here. I bury every day in this country. I buried more than 21 people in Pretoria. The media was there, where people again were killed by a truck. I went there. Where have I ever been absent when I'm actually being called and I don't attend to issues? The problem is that you make issues that are very, very difficult, very simple. Because there is an accident here, which was caused by a driver. We are not also addressing the question of reckless driving. People are driving in the roads drunk. They don't take responsibility. Everything must be done by government. Government must come to the party. I agree. Must do its job. That's why I am closing potholes today. And those potholes are not closing because some celebrity and all of that. Don't tell me about people who wake up drunk and from drugs and tweet. Don't tell me about those people. Tell me about real people. People who are on Twitter, they are not real people. Uthukwa ngumuntu ehleli apha ndaba ezithe ecala kwakho akuthuke akugqibe on Twitter. So will you respond to every insult on Twitter and all of that, drunk and druggies and all of that? We respond to real people. We respond to real issues. People complained about potholes, we are closing them. People complained about roads and all of that, we attend to them. And that's what is important. And the law enforcement is doing what it has to do. And at the same time, road like this, these trucks are not supposed to be in the road. We're supposed to move the trucks from road to rail, but that rail is not up to scratch. Our policy says so. We're talking about concessions. I invited you in Johannesburg, where I said that the biggest challenge in South Africa is there in the rail policy. It's not because there is an accident. What did I say? I said the problem of South Africa is a problem of increasing traffic volumes of trucks in the national roads, and we need to move them. And to fix the situation of rail freight, we need to have concessions with the private sector to enter by rail. That's what I'm doing. I'm not doing it because there is an accident. I addressed you about it. I invited the private sector. We are now implementing. Somebody asked, what is the time frame? We're looking at the period of about 5 years that all these trucks should have moved. But in the meantime, because trucks are causing accidents, as you have seen here in KZN, an accident happened here. The following day or 2 days, Kwanongoma, another truck was involved in an accident. So what do? It means there is a problem and a gap of law enforcement. The issue of law enforcement, I've long addressed it. I've long addressed the issue of law enforcement, that traffic officers must be on the road 24/7. I'm not talking political opportunism, where you see a gap because 2024 is coming. Government must be blamed for everything, and then there is an opportunity. I wouldn't respond to insults because kufe abantwana. And then you ask me, why do I arrive late? First thing I told you, I landed 60 kilometers from here, and then I had to drive here. I told my staff, I don't know whether they did communicate to the media. They told you that we are going to start at 12. Now you are grandstanding, near the exposer. No, I didn't tell you. I told them that because you know my situation, talk to the media because we've got transport challenges. That's what I asked them to do, and they said to me they did. So it's not deliberate. Of course it has to be. It has to be. They arrived last night. Me, I left this morning. The team that work with me, wherever I go, they arrive 2 days or 3 days before. So that is what happens. So that is what I explained to you. They explained to you. They told me. Now you are behaving like as if you didn't know. The families are arriving at 1 o'clock. They've not been waiting for me since early in the morning. They are waiting for me 1 o'clock. That is the period and the time and the appointment we've got with them. Now, when you say that families are in pain, they've been waiting since in the morning, probably you will say even without food or drink. It's a lie, because we're meeting with them at 1 o'clock. I apologized when I arrived. I said apology. That's what I said. Over and above that, my team was supposed to have communicated with you on time in terms of the difficulties of transport that we're encountering. But we have arrived. And my apologies once more to you for arriving late, but I've explained it. We had the difficulties in terms of transport. But thank you very much. And then the other question is about, he has answered the question of scholar transport. Scholar transport is a bigger challenge that we've got. It's not only here in KZN, where we've got this illegality that is happening. It happens everywhere. As we speak here now, there are people who have written to me in Northwest, in the Free State, complaining and Limpopo about scholar transport. Now, it is for me and Minister Mutshega to sit down, but the law is very clear in terms of what must happen, in terms of scholar transport. But people are taking chances. They are taking chances on a daily basis. They transport children at the back of the vans. They don't have proper transport to transport children where they've won tenders and they've been given contracts to transport children. It happens across the country. I can tell you right now, in Northwest, Free State, Limpopo, I've got complaints of people about scholar transport. Am I not attending to that? We are attending to that. It could happen because these things are not announced. In the process of attending to it, something like this happened. And then I come and tell you that these are the measures we're taking and all of that and so on and so on. Minister Motshekga would have been here with me. She's in the United States, in Unga. She's on her way back to also attest to the fact that our two departments are attending to the problem. These are the bigger challenges that we are facing as a department and that we are addressing. Are we doing nothing about them? We are attending to them. And I can tell you that I invite the media every day, and I'm happy that you come and you see for yourself the work that we do. And where there's not been any response, I'll be the first to say, no, there is no response. There is a national response to the crisis of scourge of accidents, carnage on our roads. I wouldn't have won an award, Kofi Annan award, as this country in terms of the fight against the carnage on the road if we're sleeping on the job. We have moved from announcing statistics on Easter and Christmas and then moved it to month. But RTMC have then since advised that let's not do it month to month, maybe after every 3 months. These are the interventions we are making. The interventions of police on the road are not issues that are raised by society. We raised them, we saw it ourselves. That if we don't have law enforcement here on the road at 24/7, this is what happens. It's not only on this road. And it doesn't mean that it happens here, it must not be attended to. It must be attended to. It must be attended to, and that is what is important. I am not infallible. I'm not above criticism, and we can't be arrogant. Where we are wrong, we are sluggish, we need to admit. And that is what is important. But I'm not going to admit that when accident happened, and then I'm en route to Qatar, and somebody in my office issues a statement with grammatical errors, that it is my problem. And I correct that particular problem. I ask, why do you issue a statement? I'm on air. And then I see an accident on air. Do you know these aeroplanes where you can even use a cell phone on air like Qatar Airways? I see there is an accident in KZN. I give an instruction, issue a statement. And a statement is issued. And then I'm told that you shouldn't have gone to Qatar when people have died. What did I do to Qatar? Did I go for a World Cup or gallivanting? I went there for strengthening bilateral relations, which have created enormous opportunities for the youth of our country. In the arena of air service space, there are more than 4,000 South Africans working in Qatar. There are 3 flights rotation per day, full, between Qatar and South Africa. Who does those things? Is this government? And this is what I went there to sign off and strengthen, so that the flow of people between the two countries, employ opportunity in the air services for our youth also increases. That's what we do. But we have accepted to be abused in a way. And I don't disagree with the fact that issues have been raised and all of that, and there are activists like this young man here in their own communities who take up people's issues and take advantage of the minister on social media and raise issues. And we respond to those issues. Some we don't respond at all. We don't respond because there are many. So we wouldn't say that because an issue has been raised, we didn't respond, and that this has led to this and that. We've got a national response to the issue of potholes, a national response to the issue of the road accidents and all of that. And that is what is happening with this particular department. The other issue that I need to answer was the issue of newsroom. It is answered. The issue, the CEO have answered News 24. What resources do we have and the shortfall? I think the CEO have also addressed that. We do have resources in terms of traffic. It is not enough. And we have announced what we are going to do to intervene. And in terms of addressing that issue that you have raised, the response of the residents, I've responded to that. The celebrity issue, I've responded to that, and so on. So it's not only celebrities who are on Twitter. There are many other people who are on Twitter, and celebrities are humans too. They raise issues, and that is what is important. But I wouldn't respond to people who are insulting me. How do I respond to that? If I respond to that by way of insult, you are going to say I'm not the ministerial material. This is not ministerial. So I choose not to respond. When Bonang says I'm a fool, I must keep quiet. Because when I respond to her, and she's a young woman, it's not going to be nice. But when Reddy Tlabi criticizes me, I respond to her because she's civilized. You know, she's attacking me and they're raising issues fundamentally about defects of policy and all of that. I listen to that. But when somebody decides to say, I'm due for whatever on Twitter and is a celebrity, is a figure in society and insult me, what do you want me to do? And then is a respected individual, is a young woman. Why does he have to do that? I don't have to respond to that. Because she can criticize me and say that, but why do you go this way and that way and all of that? I listened to that. I would have explained to her that, Bonang, when I had left the country, this accident happened when I was en route to Qatar, and go and look at the facts. She would have understood, but she didn't do that. She chose to insult me. Because it is easy for ministers to be insulted, for government to be insulted, because we've got so many problems as government. Usatu sangandi accident ngapa nansi load shedding. So abahlali bakwatile. You must understand that the situation and the environment is not positive. So there are many challenges that are there. So some of these things you've got to absorb them because we are in government. People expect us as government to respond to things like this. So it's no accident when an accident happens and 20 children die and society says, government, it must be understood. We are government. It doesn't matter. We are government. Where will they go? It is this government that they've elected that they must cry to. No. I've been here in Uphongolo when I was Minister of Police. I've been Kwamhlabuya Lingana. People burning tires. I went there. Flying from Johannesburg with police. What is this? Police
Intervention team.
Not intervention team, man. Aeroplane. Hematota. And then addressing people there. I can never not be available to address people. I can never. So I never run away from people. So if people of Uphongolo wanted me to come here to have an imbizo with the MEC and the Premier and all of that, I'm available. If ever this accident happened when I was in the country, I would have come back. The accident happened, I sent my team, the MEC was here, and somebody was saying on Twitter, cut your trip short. Again, you are going to say fruitless expenditure. I cut the trip short, it's fruitless expenditure. My team was here. The MEC was here. We met with the families already. I'm coming for the umpteenth time. On Saturday, we've got a mass funeral. The councillors, the mayor, everybody was here, attending to the situation. Inkosi Zendao have been there, and all of that. And we are here, Sibambisene. And I cannot arrive in the country from Qatar and not come to KZN. I'm explaining to you what happened. There is a report, it's here. We place it before you, it's here. I'm now going to give it to the families. I'm not going to the families to do anything. I'm going to explain to them. Here is the report as something that I do all the time. And then there is social benefit in terms of this. RIF is here. Each family is entitled to 18,000 for burial. They will get that money from RAF. Social development is here. But the children of these families will never come back. Children died at the back of a van. Reckless scholar transport, illegal scholar transport, reckless driver. They killed 20 kids who had a whole future ahead of them. What will I say to those families? Because of reckless behavior in the country. This does not only happen here in KZN, it happens everywhere in the country. Nobody wants to take responsibility People get into cars drunk. But when there is an accident, you expect that that person, we should be in a position. It's a problem of a psyche. It's a problem of a society. Gatenda kuluma nabafundisi ndathi le ndaba ifuna umkhulule ukuthi sithandazele. Because there's no way that we can simply go the same direction all the time. When you are tired, you stop, you sleep. When you are drunk, you don't drive. That is behavior. Behavior. How can a person cause an accident doing an overtake from up there and stretch accident up until here? Look at that behavior. An overtake on a barrier line, another truck, and collide with an oncoming vehicle. That's what happened here. It's not a problem of a road. Here's the road. You can look at it. There's no problem with this road. The problem is the driver. And that's what has happened. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Advocate Msibi. Colleagues, as Minister has stated, we are now going to be heading over to Godloya One-Stop Development Center, where Minister will be handing over the preliminary accident report to the members of the families. However, colleagues, I'd just like to clarify that when the challenges were experienced in the morning with regards to logistics, the message was conveyed to the families, and the families, some of them have not arrived yet at the center, so communication was happening with the families, so the families are not sitting there, Minister, waiting. We will now be leaving with Minister, the team from RTMC, Nabaholi, Basendaweni, Sohlangana Nimdeni, and I would like to request colleagues in the media that we end our journey here because of the nature of the engagement that will be taking place with the families, just to give them their much deserved respect. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but the media can come with us to the families as well. It's not a problem. Thank you. Thank you very much. Unless if you still have questions, one-on-one, you can come to me. Yes. No, the award, the award is about visibility. No, I'm saying it's about visibility and campaigning. So the campaigning in terms of the sketch and highlighting the problem, not an award because you have arrested the sketch, because you are visible and then you talk about this and then there is a campaign and all of that. So the campaign itself have revealed the challenges that we've got. Law enforcement, and also in terms of hours of law enforcement on the road, it has also revealed a number of things that we're addressing as we speak. That's what the campaign in terms of arresting the carnage on our road has actually revealed. You know that for a fact that when it is visible, it is only during December and Easter. But we undertake this mission all the time. Now, it has revealed also that carnage on the road is no longer an issue of December and Easters, as we will have concluded early this year that statistics on the road, we must reveal them every month because the carnage has increased on our roads. Volumes of trucks, freight has increased on the roads. So we need to address that. Where does that information come from? It comes from the campaign we have actually undertaken. And it informs our approach in terms of our interventions going forward.
So the lack of resources for police on the road means the department has failed in its mandate for police visibility?
The department has not failed. The department highlighted the problem and it is intervening and working concurrently with other spheres of government, because the Department of Transport is a concurrent function member. It's not Mbalula's problem only. Each one of us have got powers, meaning local municipality. The mayor may wish to have police all the time, but he does not have the budget. He may wish to correct and intervene and sort out the potholes. He does not have the budget. That's why I'm now reinforcing them constitutionally with SANRA through MOUs and assisting them with closing of potholes. Before I went to Qatar, you saw a road in the middle of the street in Mangaung. It's not my job. Did you see what I'm doing there with Sandra, with the municipality? That road has actually been in that state for more than 6 years. It's only now that we have intervened, we are fixing it, and the highway Mangaung bus services that has not been operational for the past 10 years is going to be operational now. Who fixed that? It's me. And last week, I was there fixing it right in the middle of Mangaung, Bloemfontein. It's not my job. I've been saying to people on Twitter, I don't fix local roads. They said, Ramaphosa must expel you because you don't understand your job. Your job is to fix roads wherever they are. I convened a national indaba, and Tito Mboweni attacked me on Twitter. You're not talking about that, and said that just fix the damn road. Stop calling indabas. That's what Tito Mboweni said. I called the indaba. Out of it, I went to the president. What did we do? President said, launch a national program and close the potholes working with municipalities. Am I not doing that? That's what I'm doing. Are the potholes closed in the country everywhere? No, but we're closing them. Is there money for that? There is no money. But we're scraping with treasury. When we go to the midterm budget, I've asked for certain money to be diverted to the program of closing potholes. So, when I come here, there is an accident of a reckless driver. It doesn't mean that this road is not being attended to. I just gave you a report now. 2.5 billion is allocated on upgrading this road. Here is the man responsible to me from Sandra. This road is going to be upgraded. But the problem that brought us here, it is not the road. It is a problem of a reckless driver. It's also a problem of an illegal scholar transport. That